My name is Paul O'Kane. I work in the Health Improvement team in the Belfast Trust and I'm a member of the Belfast Men's Health Group. The Belfast Men's Health Group is a network of people from community, voluntary and statutory organisations across Belfast with an interest in supporting the health and well-being of men and boys. We meet regularly on a voluntary basis to look at practical ways to improve the health of local males. Each year we make a special effort to celebrate Men's Health Week in June and also to celebrate International Men's Day in November. We work in partnership with other organisations throughout the year, raising awareness of key issues. To celebrate International Men's Day this year, we have teamed up with Northern Visions TV to make a programme called Local Champions. These are a collection of stories about local men and how they have overcome adversity in their lives and indeed giving back to their local community. I hope you enjoy these inspiring stories because they truly are champions.
I'm a mental health professional, working as a mindset coach in my own business, New Ways NI, and as a sessional trainer for the amazing mental health charity Aware NI. In 2018, I went through a number of life experiences. I had changed jobs, I moved house, and I had the breakdown of a long-term relationship. That really put a lot of pressure on me, and I hadn't really become aware of how that was impacting me. I began to experience a number of signs and symptoms of anxiety and depression that I ignored at that time. I was having lots of bad dreams. I was having panic attacks, chest pains, and I did what most men do: forget about it, stay up too late, have too many drinks. And it actually wasn't until my mum had picked up on the signs and symptoms that I'd been experiencing, and she was able to reflect that back to me and told me the changes that she'd noticed, that it really brought my attention to it, which led me then to taking the first step on that journey, which was going to see my doctor and getting diagnosed with depression. I was very fortunate. My employer at the time had a system in place called the Employee Assistance Programme, or EAP, and I was able to go there and access 5 free counselling sessions, which was massively beneficial. It allowed me to look at how my negative thoughts, self-critical way that I was talking to myself, and that my negative behaviours were creating problems and causing more strain in my life. Life still comes with its stresses and with its strains, but having and got that support, access those services, I now have the coping mechanisms to be able to deal with life whenever I'm met with a challenge. So I've been able to build up a lot more resilience.
Our dealer, very specialist, very, very fussy on what I handle, has to have provenance down to the last letter or else I won't get involved. But having said that, I've thoroughly enjoyed another aspect of my life and living was that my wife developed Alzheimer's 18 years ago, because she's 4 years passed away, and she had it for 14 years, and I cared for her all the time. I had carers coming obviously to help me. That was great. But what I discovered was the satisfaction you get in actually overcoming the situations that you're encountered with. The moment she died in my arms was a thrill in that I was there exactly when it happened. And I was expecting it, I was prepared for it. And the only difference is, if you have a heart attack, the shock of that, how you cope with that, I don't know. But I was prepared. I had a run-in of 14 years in caring for Elsie, and that was a wonderful experience. So I really enjoy chatting about Alzheimer's, or to people who care for Alzheimer's, because I took a very positive attitude towards it. Now, how did I care for my wife? When my wife was ill, her day was 10:30 in the morning to 10:30 at night. So from 7:30 when I got up, I knew I was 3 hours free 3 to 10:30. So what I did was I took a membership out in the Daily Telegraph. And where I live is about half a mile from the paper shop. So I used to walk down into Donegal every morning to get the paper. And when I got the paper, it so happened Russell Sellers had a deal on. You buy a paper and you can get a free drink. So I had a free coffee. So I walked along the front in Donegal, sat and drank my coffee, had a read of the paper, took the shoes and socks off, and the further the tide was out, the further I paddled in the water across from one side of the pier to the other, and it was absolutely amazing. And that's where I got my... But then occasionally I went and got the train and came into Belfast, into Great Victoria Street, into Jury's, went and got my breakfast, sat and read the paper from 8 o'clock to 9:30, got the train back to Donegal for 10:30. Whenever my wife died, we were 51 years married.
Wow.
And that was 4 years ago. And the interesting thing was, this is really exciting, because we were married on St. Patrick's Day. Our house is called Erin Lodge. Elsie was born in the south of Ireland. I'm an Irish art dealer, and I don't think you get any more Irish than that. Wonderful, all ties up. People, why did you get married on St. Patrick's Day? Well, I tell you the truth. School's cup final, a bank holiday, and I'd be off work.
I am a carer for my daughter, along with my wife. She has originally had a diagnosis of anorexia and has since been diagnosed with emotionally unstable personality disorder. Really, until you've lived with someone with mental health difficulties, you don't know what it's like. I mean, people always are concerned about the mental health crisis, but also sort of around that, there is also the crisis among carers, because you know, it's emotionally and physically draining. Without, you know, organisations such as Cause, which is, you know, a carers charity, they were very helpful, and you know, they have like a support group for parents and carers. And also, Anna's support worker had referred us through to a programme for carer counselling, and that was something that both my wife and I found very, very beneficial. I mean, we started going to the gym because it's amazing that you sort of don't think how much, you know, doing exercise can also help your mental health as well. Doing the counselling really, really helped, you know, sort of you take a step back and go, well, okay, I need to look after myself as well, because I'm going to be ill soon if I keep going the way I'm going, you know. And putting that pause in place from the counselling made us realise, you know, that we needed to look after ourselves just to make everything okay for our daughter.
My business it's a mixture of a business. It's it started off with like a coffee van, and now it's kind of progressed into a roasting business. So I still have the coffee van for doing events, etc. But I also roast my own coffee now. We're based in the Waterworks. We lost our tender there. So we're currently located up in St Dennis GAA Club. We've worked closely with community groups to kind of promote any events that's going on, or any kind of like if it's World Mental Health Day, that kind of stuff. We do a lot of promotion around that. I grew up, went to youth club from no age, and then it's only when you become an adult yourself you realise that these people have all given up their time. They've got their own commitments, they've got their own family, and they've given up their time to kind of influence you as a young person and to steer you in the right direction. So from my point of view, that was one thing that always stuck, and still to this day, you know, while I'm very busy with a young family of myself, but when they're kind of up, it's one thing that I'll go back to. I'll go back to volunteering. I help out with park runs still now with the kids and stuff like that. They're volunteer the other week. So it's almost about giving back to what was given to me as a young person. And obviously I see the importance as a father now, the importance you have as a male role model with your own children. It does work both ways, especially from a business point of view. It's a small thing. It's not that you're doing it for, like we never ever do it, like we've never ever published it on any social media stuff or stuff like that. You know, you kind of do it quietly. But obviously people talk and people go and people support you in return. It's almost like a social enterprise to a certain degree. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like my kids, it's our only family income between me and my wife, you know. So it's kind of almost like they're funding your kids to do the dancing, to do the swimming lessons, to do all the things. Do you know what I mean? And then in return, you kind of give back to sponsoring community groups or doing whatever you do or giving your time up. So it's almost like a good circle rather than a bad circle.
I'm a retired baker, and I joined the men's shed 7 years ago, just for somewhere to go. You know, you miss that working week. Not the work, never missed any of that. I miss the going out every morning, coming back, having a bit of time with different people. And the shed gives me that without the work. You're not obliged when you come into the shed to do something. What it is, you're there, and you could sit and read the paper if you wanted, or do a crossword. It's just somewhere for men to go. And you make friends with people you would never have met outside the shed. We have 50 odd on the books, but since COVID, it's dropped to 30 something. We're open 5 days a week. And it's from 9 o'clock until the last person with a key goes out, which is generally around 1 or that, you know. But we're there. We take on projects for the local community. Last week we were sticking Oxfam labels on jewellery, you know, and they give us a meal for doing it. And it's another good social thing, you know. The advice I invite them along. Just come along. Come in, we'll give you a cup of coffee, we'll show you what goes on, and it's up to you then whether you want to come back. And that seems to be quite a successful way. You're not pressurising people to join. You're bringing them in and showing them what's available. And I'd say a good 80% of them turn up to be members.
About 2 years ago, I took over the old Cafil Inn on the Cafil Road, did a massive refurb on that and reopened it in November 2019. Things were going very well, really embraced the local community, you know, people really like what we're doing. And then 4 months later, COVID came along and we had to close. So after 2 or 3 days of feeling sorry for myself, not knowing exactly what I should do, I'd read an article online about the closures in the south of Ireland and how the Meals on Wheels scheme had to wind down because people had to isolate at home. They couldn't go out and about, and also it meant that the vulnerable people were being missed out. And I began to think that that's something that might actually happen here in Belfast. So I put a post out on our pub's Facebook page, explaining that we've got a kitchen, brand new kitchen there. We have a team of chefs that wanted to help. What could we do to try and come along with that? Not knowing where to turn. So I was put in touch with some local councillors, Mal O'Hara and Nola McAllister, both North Belfast City councillors, and they put me in touch with the North Belfast Advice Partnership with Sinead McKinley, who works there. She helped us out. She liaised with the local charities, and we put a post up on our Facebook page again explaining what we're planning to do.
This was like a Meals on Wheels?
Meals on Wheels, yeah. So 140 meals every day for 12 weeks. It's something that I say we are very proud of. That part of North Belfast, that part of Cave Hill, wouldn't have had much of a community atmosphere because there wasn't anywhere to socialise. And even whenever we opened the pub on Christmas Eve, we had the Cave Hill Community Choir came in to sing Christmas carols. And people were telling me that evening the impact that the pub had on the community. They're seeing neighbours they haven't seen in years because they had nowhere to socialise. They're all going into towns, they wouldn't see each other. Whereas now, on the doorsteps, they had a venue, a bar, a restaurant. And they were seeing their neighbours, seeing people, and that kind of brought that community ethos back again to that part of Cave Hill. The advice I would give is basically, if you can, do it. I think purely from a personal point of view, it made me feel more part of the community. I've lived in North Belfast only for 9 years. I'm originally from Derry City. I came to Belfast to go to Queen's 25 years ago. Now I feel part of Cave Hill, and I'm very proud to say that.
I work for the Belfast Health and Social Care Trust. I've been working there for 18, 19 years. Used to have hair, don't anymore. A bit greyer these days, but my role there is duty manager. I love it. I don't skip to work, but I love what I do and I love the variety of the challenges I face every day. With regards to personal challenges, we all go through challenges in life. All I ever wanted in life was to be married, have kids, grow old, be a granda, see them grow up. I'm divorced, I'm single, I'm on my own. I've met somebody now, but those circumstances change every day. But the challenges I faced was back in 2018. I'm 48 years of age now, but sort of late 2018, I had a few challenges. For 7 months prior, things went downhill. And it wasn't until 2018 and around autumn time that I just felt I was sinking and sinking and sinking. My relationship failed. I was very nearly out of a job. I was worried about where I was going to live, how I was going to survive. I was drinking too much. As a result of that, and I could see no way out. And it reached the point where I was living in my car and was homeless for about 2 weeks. And the only way that I could get out of that was, without playing the religious card, I did a lot of soul searching. I did pray a lot. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And I just caught myself on, and I went to counselling through the Belfast Trust voluntarily. And it was the best thing I ever did. And where I am now is I've spent 3 years on my own, finding out who I am, getting back to Jason, getting back to me. And through counselling and through trying to better myself, I don't know if it's power prayer or I don't know if it's what I've done, but I live on my own. I live in the country. I'm renting a place and I'm back into who I am. I've got my job. I've got my wage coming in. And I've got my dog, and things are on the up. I joined Secord Print Workshop in Bangor. Bangor's where I grew up. A bit like people going to the gym, you pay your monthly membership. And they gave me a key. It wasn't a Monday to Friday thing. And out of hours, through my job with work, out of hours, then I would have went in there at 10 o'clock at night, would have went in there at 1 o'clock in the morning. People think you're nuts. But all my carving and printmaking and wood cuts and lino cuts were all done at home. But then I went into the studio and printed like a wee bit of an introvert, on my own, out of the way, a wee bit of a social hand grenade. And I had my first art exhibition in the following year from hitting rock bottom in October 2019. And I sold 10 prints. You don't know if you've 20 years left or you've 30 years left. The most important thing is that what makes me happy, and as long as I have food on the table and a bottle of red wine and I have nature and my dog and a roof over my head, and my artwork and your job, that's all you need. You don't need hundreds of thousands of pounds, materialistic things. It's all about what makes you happy.
I'll give you a bit of my life. I come from a dealing family way back. I only realised I was depressed when I lost 2 children. I was always depressed when I was a child, from the age of 4 when I ran away from home. And I took my cousin with me, and I spent more time in Queen Street Barracks, and used to call me "not again," because I was in it that often. Not again. Ah, here it comes. Not again. So my mother decided to sew my name and address on a pair of overalls so that it can be returned to sender. I found out the depression. I had been covering up my depression for years and didn't know where it was coming from, and I found out it was because I was a funny guy, a likeable rogue, somebody that brought everybody out of their depression and dumped it onto me. I took the depression from everybody. I really took it to heart. Then I had 3 attempts at suicide. Couldn't take it any longer. Sorry. I couldn't take it any longer. And then I realised, that's not the way to go. That's selfish. I'm taking my problem away and I'm giving it to everybody else. Well, I'm not going to do that. I need help. I had nobody to talk to. My brothers and sisters were worse than me, apparently. So it left me a very alone person. I went in, I'm now a Eucharistic minister, which I welcome God back in after going to Corsia. I got 2 children back that I'd lost. My 2 sons, I'm going back from Corsia. My oldest son, Brenton, says, "You're going to be a granddad." The world fell down. Martin came in, he says, I've got a bit of news for you. He says, what's son? He says, you're going to be an hour granda. The two of them were 10 days between each other. My advice would be, stop being a bloody man and go and get help. There's plenty of places and they're coming online. And all you got to do is rap a door. You don't have to tell them who you are. And you come in. But it's somebody, and I mean, somebody to talk to.
About 4 or 5 years ago, I suffered very, very bad depression, to the point where I wasn't getting out of bed in the mornings, going to work at maybe 11 or 12 o'clock, getting as far as 2 villages away and turning to come home again. Just couldn't face anybody, to be honest with you. I did go to counselling for a year, paid it in my own pocket, because at the time, I think the ones through the NHS were taking, I think, 6 to 8 weeks or something. At this stage, I couldn't take it anymore. So there was nothing, I've had nothing bad in my life up until a couple of years ago that would actually set it off, which is strange. I think maybe a mixture of everything, just, but nothing in particular, just happened. But coming out of it, you know, it's 2018 was my lowest part.
And what got you over then? Was it that final counsellor?
The final counsellor,
that you got through?
a mixture of family. At the time, my brother and his wife were having they just got pregnant. It was a bit of a secret and stuff, but he had sort of seen where I was at and told me they were pregnant and expecting, and it brought me around a wee bit. Family was a big thing, and my friends. I had good friends around me, like, so
Yeah.
I think they sort of noticed we wouldn't be ones for showing emotion or whatever, but I think they seen where I was at and picked up on it.
And how are you feeling now?
Good, things are good now. You know, we had a wee bit of a setback in our family 2 years ago. We actually had 2 suicides within, I think it was around 6 months of each other, my cousin and my uncle. So it was a bit of a setback, and that's why things, I guess, are important to me now. If I can sort of help anybody in any tiny wee way, you know, it's, you know, there's always better ways. Like, I think that my biggest problem was I didn't want to be weak or feel weak or look vulnerable or share emotions probably as well, which is the wrong way of going about things. I've learned the hard way, but definitely just talk to somebody, you know. A few folk has rung me now because they've known I've been through it, and I'll openly talk about it now and talk about what I've done to help myself. And it's not going to work for everybody, you know. I'm not a counsellor, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, but, you know, a normal person like myself who in general has a good life, it can still happen to them. But there's always light somewhere, you know what I mean? It's only temporary. Yeah. And see, once I got that in my head that it's only a temporary feeling, it sort of, it didn't just snap back to reality. It just didn't come overnight where I was feeling normal. But now I have a lot more better days than I do bad days.
So what advice would you give to others who are having some challenges or difficulties in their lives?
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd really recommend would be to tuning in and building a relationship with yourself, in the sense that understanding your thoughts and your emotions and your behaviours, starting to look at the things in your life that nourish you and that build you up, and then conversely the things that drain you and deplete you.
It is very important when you are struggling or if you are having tough times to talk to people and just reach out for help and see if there is any help available. Not be afraid of admitting that you are struggling or admitting that you do need help, because it's not that you're any less of a man because of it. In fact, I would actually say the opposite. The fact that you're reaching out for help to try and improve the situation, you know, in my mind, makes you stronger, you know.
You know, it's a tough world we live in. It's a fast world. Kids want everything. It's a throwaway society. Do you know what I mean? It's just so fast and everything. And it's just times where you kind of need to take, even if it is 10 minutes, just to sit and just do whatever you do just for a bit of peace of mind and just kind of gather your thoughts and live in the moment rather than, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I can't wait till tomorrow. You know, live in the moment.
You know, you have to treat yourself. You have to take a step back and go, who are you? What's important to you? And some things you can't fix. Some things you know, you can't control and make better. Some things you need to just let go.